So there still is a lot of suspense about what will happen in the coming days.
Greg, we're just jumping in for a moment here because we are seeing the 21-gun salute to the Governor General, Julie Payette. She has arrived. She is on the dais there. She just greeted the Usher of the Black Rod, and you can hear God Save the Queen being played.
For today's ceremony, MPs were just talking about that and going through this procedural, the motions to establish that, while all the ceremonial stuff was happening outside the Senate. So now, the gentleman Usher of the Black Rod is, quote unquote, knocking on the door of the House of Commons. That's where he's headed, right by me, to the other end of the parliamentary precinct, knock on the door, and essentially what he does is say, hey, the Queen, in the person, the representative of the Governor General, would like to see you, and you are commanded to attend to her here in the Senate chamber. And so after that command is given, a few MPs, normally it will be mostly all of them, but in this case it's just going to be a few. They will come down. They're going to take a little van down to the end of this thing. They'll go into the Senate chamber, and then we will finally get on with hearing the Senate speech.
Well, what we're seeing just now is the van carrying the Usher of the Black Rod driving up onto Parliament Hill as he heads up to go knock with his grand mace on the door of the House of Commons to retrieve those members of Parliament. Okay, we're just about to hear from the Usher of the Black Rod. He has just been given permission to enter with a message. He is the messenger who the Sergeant-at-Arms was referring to, delivering the Governor General's message. Take a listen to what he has to say.
Mr. Speaker, it is the pleasure of Her Excellency the Governor General that this honourable House attend her immediately in the chamber of the Senate.
Please proceed to the House of Commons. The Governor General of Canada will deliver her speech from the throne.
You're taking a look at the Usher of the Black Rod there. He is stepping up ceremonially. It all looks like something from another era, doesn't it? A reminder of where our parliamentary democracy has in fact come from, and the many trappings that look purely dramatic, but they in fact form a ceremonial function. And there is the departure of the Usher of the Black Rod, who represents the House of Commons.
The world entered this pandemic facing climate change and its risks. A lesson COVID-19 has taught us is that we must meet these challenges with determination on all these fronts: healthcare, economy, equality, and the environment. We must act bravely. The government will do so.
The fourth and final foundation of this plan is to stand up for who we are as Canadians. We cannot forget what has made us a country that is welcoming, a country that celebrates 2 official languages, that achieves progress on gender equality, walks the road of reconciliation, and fights discrimination of every kind. This is our generation's crossroads. Do we move Canada forward or let people be left behind? Do we come out of this stronger or paper over the cracks that the crisis has exposed? This is the time to remember who we are as Canadians. This is the opportunity to contain the global crisis and build back better together.
In other words,
as some countries start to reopen their societies and economies, the question we must answer is whether we will just return to the way things were, or whether we will learn the lessons the pandemic is teaching us about our relationship with our planet. Building back better means building back greener.
And on building back better, this forms the third foundation of the government's approach. Around the world, advanced economies are realizing that things should not go back to business as usual. COVID-19 has exposed the vulnerabilities in our society.
We can only emerge stronger from the present crisis if we do so together.
You hear that?
The Church's social doctrine thus speaks of the need for the virtue of solidarity. Authentic solidarity is not just about offering help to others. It is a matter of justice, It requires a radical change in our thinking that looks to the good of the community, defends the right to life for all, and promotes a just sharing of the earth's goods.
The loss of life in long-term care facilities. All of our elders deserve to live safely with respect and dignity. Although long-term care is a provincial and territorial, the federal government will do all in its power to support our elders in collaboration with jurisdictions. Government will work with Parliament to amend the criminal code in order to punish clearly those who neglect elders and put them in harm's way.
Policy of putting a price on pollution while putting that money back in the pockets of Canadians. It cannot be free to pollute. This pandemic has reminded Canadians of the importance of nature. The government will work with municipalities as part of a new commitment to expand urban parks so that everyone has access to green space. This will be done while protecting a quarter of Canada's land and a quarter of Canada's oceans in 5 years. And using nature-based solutions to fight climate change, including by planting 2 billion trees. The government will ban harmful single-use plastics next year between health and their job, just like Canadians should not have to take on debt that their government can better shoulder. On the National Action Plan, in response to the national inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, calls for justice, as well as implementation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action. The government will also move forward to introduce legislation to implement the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples before the end of this year. And we all mourn those who have passed. We trust science to lead the fight until a safe and effective vaccine becomes available. But until then, we must keep our guards up, using the tools that are available to us now, such as testing, treatments, and physical distancing measures.
Pope Francis says the pandemic has opened up another wound, the social gap caused by a sick economy. The Pope explains that selfishness transforms the Homo sapiens into a Homo economicus, in other words, an individualistic, calculating, dominating person. He invites people to ask themselves if they want to continue living that way.
Quando l'ossessione di possedere e dominare esclude milioni di persone e dai beni primari, quando la disuguaglianza economica e tecnologica è tale da lacerare il tessuto sociale. E quando la dipendenza da un progresso materiale illimitato minaccia la casa comune, allora non possiamo stare a guardare. No, questo è desolante. Non possiamo stare a guardare.
The question is, how will we emerge from this crisis? Look what he says.
For Pope Francis, one key criterion of Christian authenticity is attention to people in need. That's why he invites the faithful to address the root causes of poverty.
La pandemia è una crisi, e da una crisi non si esce.
So notice, the Pope is talking about the coronavirus pandemic, am I right? And he's offering his solution. Listen to this right here.
O siamo migliori o siamo peggio. Noi dovremmo uscire migliori e per migliorare l'ingiustizia sociale e il degrado ambientale. Oggi abbiamo un'occasione.
Today, look at that. Look at this right here. Today, Daniel Shaves, look at this, brother. Today we have an opportunity to build something different. What is that thing? The New World Order. Have mercy. Let's go on.
Per costruire qualcosa di diverso. Per esempio,
For example, we can do what? Create an economy? Wow.
Far crescere un'economia di sviluppo integrale dei poveri e non di assistenzialismo.
See, solidarity, hold on, it says solidarity is the way. Listen to this right here, y'all.
That the coronavirus has revealed our interconnectedness, that either we all emerge from the crisis together or we all continue in it.
Non è solo questione di aiutare gli altri, questo è bene farlo, e di più, si tratta di giustizia. La solidarietà oggi è la
There it is right there. There it is right there. Right there in your face. Solidarity today is the road to living in a post-pandemic world. In other words, the whole world united. This is it, y'all.
Strada da percorrere verso un mondo post-pandemia. Verso la guarigione delle nostre malattie interpersonali e sociali. Non ce n'è un altro.
Look at this. There's no other option. You see that? Who is he to say? He said, look at that. There is no other option. Either we move forward among the road. He talking like he is your father, right? Look at this. There's no other option.
O andiamo avanti con la strada della solidarietà o il costo.
Things will get worse. Wow.
You know, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, you know, I'd say is will get attention this time.
To Lena's question about decarbonization as part of our economic plan going forward, of course, it has to be part of it. I think all Canadians understand that the restart of our economy needs to be green. It also needs to be equitable. It needs to be inclusive. And we need to focus very much on jobs and growth. As the Prime Minister said in his remarks, and this is really important, the coronavirus is still with us. This is a once-in-a-lifetime challenge for our whole country. And our commitment as a government is to do whatever it takes to support Canadians as we get through that challenge, and as we get through it, to really build back better and to turn this tremendous challenge into a fabulous opportunity for our country. Canadians have done such a terrific job in fighting the coronavirus so far. I'm really, really proud of our country, and I am absolutely confident that working together, we can get through this, and we can build back a country even better than the one we had before the pandemic hit us. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take one more question in the foyer.
We respect and we will continue to respect areas of provincial jurisdiction, but what this pandemic has shown is that we all do need to work together, which is why we stepped up as a federal government to send billions of dollars to the provinces so that they can better respond right now in this pandemic. But we've also seen this pandemic reveal gaps and cracks in our social safety nets.